I call our November 4th, 2025 Board of Accountancy meeting to order. And looks like the first item on the agenda, which has been shared publicly. And I think we're all aware of this. John served his term with the chair role for the Board of Accountancy, and thanked him in our last meeting for his many years of great service. And I did officially here for my reappointment or reappointment to the board, appointment to the chair role just late last month. So it is officially official, John. You're
After 10 plus years, I think the world got a little tired of me.
No. We appreciated all of your service on that, and look forward to obviously continuing, on the board with us. So with that, second item on the agenda is approval of the minutes from our previous meeting. So two meetings. One was our normal meeting on September 2nd. And there was another one on September 25th, our special meeting to talk about the regs and approve those. So first, on the September 2nd meeting minutes, any comments or questions? I did point out there was one very minor misspelling of waiver, within that document I shared with Rachel, but was there anything else anyone wanted to share? Okay.
No.
If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve the minutes for September 2nd.
This is Pete. I'll make the motion to approve the minutes for September 2nd.
Thank you,
I'll
Pete.
second.
John is the second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any nays? The ayes have it. On the September 25th meeting minutes, same question. Any comments or questions, or if there are none, I'd entertain a motion for approval of those minutes.
I'll
So
make a
moved.
motion.
Oh,
Okay.
You gotta let me. I haven't been able to for 10 years.
All right, you got it. I'll do
All
a
right,
second. Right?
John, would you like to do the second, Stacy?
Sure.
Okay, great. Again, any discussion on those items? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, any nays? Okay, ayes have it. Meeting minutes are approved. Okay, item 3, comments or concerns regarding the meeting agenda. Anything that anyone wants to raise at this point in terms of what we're planning to discuss today? All right. Hearing none, let's moving along. For item number 4, legal division, regulations update. And I see Kat has now shown her video. So I'll turn it over to you, Kat. Good morning.
Good morning. So the regulations, the proposed regulations are currently being reviewed by DCP for sufficiency for LCO and the AG's office. So I know there's a whole bunch of steps they have to go through, but I don't know what they are, but that's where it is right now.
Got it. Okay. Thank you. And just to share and I have more, I'll talk about this later at the annual meeting. There is other states are also entertaining their definition of an accounting concentration. I think the NASBA and the UAA committee is also going to take that up as something to look at to maybe provide some additional guidance within the UAA model rules. So as a board, I think we've landed where we are right now at 27 accounting and 24 business. That's something that if we felt compelled, there was a reason to go back and revisit, we can certainly do that. But at this point, there's nothing more to share on that front. But as it evolves, I'll certainly we'll add that to our agenda if we need to. Okay. So I think that if that's it, Kat, on the legal division update, let's go to old business. we have one item here, Adiza Hodzik's exam credit extension request, and I believe Adiza may be, yeah, Adiza
Good morning.
is, good morning, is here. So,
Hit by the sun.
so, who is it Rachel or Kat just kind of talks us through the request?
Yes, hi. This was reviewed by the board last meeting, but
yeah.
the board tabled it because we could not find it. The request came in last minute and we were not able to find the AUD or BEC credits,
Okay,
even though she had requested for, to extend it. And so after the meeting, we were able to verify that she did indeed have all three credits. And that's what she's asking, for them to be extended.
okay.
What's the status of the reg credit and the reg test? Kat, is that?
Well, I had the 3 exams that I received credit back, and I was planning to take reg since I had until end of June of this year. But unfortunately, I took it 2 times and I was not able to pass it. It was just had a really big job that I was working 50 plus hours. I do have 2 small kids also. So just with everything going on, I tried to take it between May and June, and unfortunately didn't pass it. So I was just hoping, with the holidays coming up, we'll have some time off from work if I can just give it another chance, because I've been at this a while, and I
Mhm.
passed those other 3 exams multiple times. So it would be really helpful from, just the perspective of work as well. Would really love if I can move up. At my job as well. I've been in audit for a number of years, and now I'm in accounting advisory. And they did promise me a promotion. They said we wouldn't need the exam done, maybe just for the senior manager promotion, but now they've changed that as well. They do want some type of certification, so I just figured with the other 3 exams, since I passed them multiple times, it would be great if I can just get another chance at reg. To retake it at least until end of this year.
So Adiza, one thing I read your summary, which looked fairly complete. The one thing I don't think you had highlighted, but I just wanted to confirm was the case, that in the course of sounds like in February 2022 and December 2023, you also had that's when you had your children. So
Mhm.
there was that going on in addition to um, the other challenges, to death in the family and some other things. Is that right?
Yes, yes. So, I was always kind of taken aback with the 18-month rule. I would pass all 3 of them, get to reg, and kind of lose that. And then once I had my first child, COVID happened, and then I had my second kid. So it kind of just getting them back kind of gave me the hope of like, I have 3 back, so now I can just get reg done. But unfortunately, with like just personal stuff and work and everything else, just having, we've been working 50 plus hours, January through May pretty much, and the summer too. We've been having some big jobs, so it's been kind of tough to get all that time needed. As you know, it requires a lot of time to study.
Okay, so looks like Adiz is requesting a 6-month extension. Would anyone like to make a motion on Adiz's request?
I'll move that we approve.
Okay, John, got motion to approve. Do we have a second?
I'll second it, this Bud.
Okay, got a A second as well. Any further discussion or questions on the proposed motion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Any nays?
It's Pete, nay.
Pete's a nay. Looks like the ayes have it. Motion is approved.
Thank you.
That's the only item for old business, so we can move on to our new business. First item is an NTS extension request for Ann Mosley. Kat, I just had one question on this. Why do we as a board approve NTS extensions, like the request to test, or
Well, the regulations don't really speak to it specifically, but you have in the past. I mean,
okay?
and in the past, there are a couple of times when the board was not meeting. So that's when DCP would consider the request because before the deadline ran out because they needed to test, for example. But basically, this notice to schedule is when they have 6 months to to take the exam, but if they run into hardship, they would request to extend it. If it's not extended, they would have to reapply and pay all the fees all over again. So the board has considered these kinds of requests in the past. And Ms. Mosley is a senior citizen. She's starting this out on her quest to get her CPA. She's like over 70 years old, and this is her first exam, section. And so she, the good cause and her, I don't know, I don't remember if her death certificate or medical, documentations was some in the portal.
I believe it was. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was, yeah.
Okay. Okay, if everyone's had a chance to review the request and the support, I'd entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, thank you, Stacy.
I'll second.
All right, Danny, thank you. Any further discussion on this item?
Can I ask
Hearing
how long
none.
she's asking to extend it
Sorry,
for?
Pete.
Has she
Yeah.
specified how long she wants to extend it for?
6 months. The NTS is 6 months, you have 6 months to test. And it is expiring on the 20th. And so she's asking for 6 months. So that would go to May 31st of next year.
Okay. Okay, since we have a motion and a second, I'll entertain a motion to approve. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, any against? Okay, motion is passed. Item B under new business, it's dealing with licensing and specific to Matthew Parkinson, non-conforming work experience petition. I believe Matthew may also be in attendance at our meeting today.
Yep, I'm here.
Good morning. So I don't know if everyone's had a chance to review Matthew's request. This is where he's expressing how he's had what he considers relevant experience pursuant to our forms and requirements, but there's no supervising CPA in respect of that experience that he's looking to claim, where our regulations require the experience to have been supervised, by a licensed CPA. So,
I am
yeah.
more than happy to make a statement or.
Sure, if you'd like.
Yeah. So I just want to thank everybody for taking the time. I'm looking for the approval of the non-conforming work experience. I understand that my background in the private investment management field over the last 18 years now. Has never been directly under a CPA, so I really never had the opportunity to, facilitate that route. But I feel I've developed throughout, a number of different roles with accounting and financial operations to prove that I have the same competencies that the board was looking to measure here, via financial reporting, internal control evaluation, application of accounting principles, and professional judgment. Currently as Chief Financial Officer and Chief Operating Officer for Repose Capital, and also as controller of my previous job at River Park Advisors. I've been directly responsible for the preparation and analysis of all of our financial statements, the daily NAV production for my previous shop was a mutual fund company, as well as now our UCITS fund, which is daily NAV production. I've headed all the audit coordination, the evaluation committees across all of our complex structures. I serve as the final sign-off on all annual audit meetings, financial statement disclosures. I work hand in hand with external auditors and administrators to ensure everything is in full GAAP compliance. I actually just did the internal control walkthrough with our auditors at Deloitte about a month ago. Nice 2-hour meeting, hands-on, going through every aspect of our business, from reconciliation all the way down to NAV creation and investor statements. My work has required a lot of independent judgment, both on accounting principles, reporting issues, compliance standards. Feel like every month a new email comes out about a new SEC standard that we have to make sure if it applies to us, if we have to stay in line, stay in compliance. What else? I've recently kind of implemented a lot of new workflows, functionality. I took over the role at Riposte in December through really it was a need on their part because my predecessor had kind of been lax and things were not looking great. So I had to come in there and clean a lot of things up. So I've been implementing a lot of automated workflows. I actually taught myself a little bit of code writing to, make things a little easier so I can not worry about, any manual intervention and whatnot. Things are looking much better now. We passed our audit, even though I wasn't around for the entire year that it was under the purview of that audit. But yeah, I just want to stress that I feel like I've done a lot over this 18-year career that satisfies both the intent and the substance of what this license kind of represents, and it's less a plea for leniency and more of just a recognition that I feel like I've attempted to meet the standards and the ethical responsibility that we're looking to attend here.
So again, the regulations, I think as you're aware, Matthew, the experience requirements do indicate that, and really many of the other states have the same requirements. So this is not something unique to Connecticut, that, a core standard of that feature is that, for the experience to qualify, it would have to be supervised and verified by a licensed CPA. Since I've been on the board, I don't believe I've seen a request for non-conforming experience where it was not supervised or verified by a licensed CPA. I don't know if any others recall, Pete or John, since we've been on the board, whether this would be something that, we've had to entertain, just because no one's come forward to request it unless they or claim license requirements unless they had met that standard.
Tim, I can jump in and tell you that we've had this once, like years ago,
Okay.
when we first joined the board early on. This situation came about, and we came up with the same conclusion, that you have to have experience under a CPA. With Matthew's presentation, I can't go against that. I cannot go against that. As great as you presented yourself. Now, I would feel compelled afterwards, after this, should we have a discussion on, is it possible? I don't know. But, unfortunately, I'm going to apologize as I do this. I'm going to make the motion to deny.
Well, before we do that, can I just ask a question?
Okay?
Yes.
The requirement to be supervised by a CPA, does it have to be a direct employer? Or could the CPA firm that is doing the audit attest to his skill set and expertise and provide it that way?
It's always been the understanding that it has to be a direct report that supervises the individual. Because as I mentioned before, years ago when we had this issue, that was that individual's reasoning behind it, that they were supervising, that they were gathering the information for the auditors and so forth. And they tried to get the auditors to provide a letter stating that they work with them as auditors in that capacity. And we still denied it.
Okay, so what about, so Matthew, what about at River Park Advisors? Was there a CPA there at all that could help you?
That's sort of the crux of my issue, is that
Yeah.
throughout my 4 different jobs I've held over the last 18 years, I've never worked directly under a CPA.
Okay.
I took a route, more of the private industry as opposed to public, which kind of makes that sort of a, kind of a flip of a coin of whether or not the employer is going to have a CPA there. Just so happens it hasn't been the case for me. Yeah, I mean, that's why I think initially the request I put in, I was looking for the CPA certification as opposed to the full license, full well knowing that I had not, worked under a CPA and was not looking to obtain a position in public accounting. It was more just the certification of the CPA that I could present to our board, to our investor base, and to provide some comfort as we continue to grow our company and prove that the operations of the business is in good hands.
Just
Tim, I have a question. Tim,
Go
I have
ahead.
a
Yes.
question.
Yep.
Yeah,
Bud.
for you. Yeah. Do any other states, or NASBA or anybody, is this like an issue that's being considered that you're aware of, or is this settled?
Not that I'm aware of, but having seen this request now, and Matthew, obviously the way you presented and the experience you've kind of outlined over your many years, I think it, to Danny's point, it probably does warrant, some consideration, and that's something I could certainly go back to NASBA. We can, see what other states are doing if this is something that's being entertained. But I think generally speaking, based on some of my limited research, it's something that all the states, California, New York, they're still requiring supervision and verification of the experience. But I think it's worthy of re-examining that, and if there's some other path that other states are considering that we might want to.
Following what Dan said, it seems that if there is not were not a CPA, you'd have to have some alternative equivalent, and I don't see, independent, or I guess but some equivalent and that's the issue. I don't know how you do that.
Yeah, well, and what also bothers me about this, in a sense where I feel bad, is that I know New York they have an alternate 15-year, I believe, if you work for 15 years in public accounting, and you can't pass the exam, then you can apply and become a CPA. In that way, that's a form of alternative. That's an alternate, but it's still under a CPA. Matthew's been working for 17 years now, but not under a CPA. So again, as I said, is it something that should be discussed and thought about?
It's an interesting concept that they have the route around the testing, but not around the CPA experience, like working underneath, because I've already passed all the exams and, you know, got all the education credits and things that I were within my power to do. And just by happenstance, I don't have that person I can look to that could, you know, sign off on it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd be
And-
more than happy to speak with anyone, any other board who wants to talk about this, because I feel like this is an issue just coming from my experience with the number of people that I've worked with that all would like to achieve the level of CPA, but they just see it as such a difficult path to take, being all the steps that need, all the hurdles they need to go over to get there, that it turns people away. And people that could be very qualified, you know, individuals, they don't see a path for them, so they stop. I decided to push through and just continue to check boxes until I got everything I could, and then I'm, you know, brings me to where I am today, where looking for just that last checkbox to complete the process.
You seem to have missed the easiest part, though, unfortunately.
As far as what working underneath.
Working on the CPA, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because, like, you know, when I first started doing it, you know, the first job I worked, it's not on my radar. No one there happened to be a CPA. Then I got the next job and same thing, and then just one after another. It's just, you know, I was never looking at the job being like, well, it has to be a CPA. I was looking at the job that made the most sense for me, my life, my, you know, career advancement, whatever you know, whatever the next step in my life was at that time, and just so happens that nobody there was a CPA.
Okay, we have, Danny had previously proposed a motion to deny this request. Do I have a second?
This is Pete. I'll second.
Okay, we've got a second. Any further discussion on the matter? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Yeah.
Any nays? Okay, the
I will
request
note,
is denied.
yeah, perhaps it should be a subject for future,
I agree.
to take a look. Are there any alternative certifications that could be relied on?
Yeah,
And,
this
or
is
are any
something,
other states doing something?
yeah, Matthew, this is something for nothing else, we're gonna take up. Do a little research on our end and maybe have further discussion around this, see if there's some other approach other states are taking. You know, the point around in making, we don't want it to be difficult to become a CPA. We want you to be qualified, and we're looking for more CPAs, and that's obviously the objective. And if this is a hurdle that we see other states tackling, and might be something as a profession we need to take a fresh look at, and we'll do the same as a board. But, you know, thank you for at least bringing this forward and giving us food for thought. You know, we'll have further discussions, and if things move in a different direction that would be beneficial to you, we'll certainly reach out again and ask you to reapply.
Appreciate that. Thank you for your time. If there's
Okay.
anything else I can do for further discussions or anything, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm happy to
Great.
help, because I know if I have to be the first person to push this over the finish line, I'll happy to help out for everyone else who would like to take the same route as me.
Great. Okay. Well, thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tim, just as an aside, I got this exact same question just from a
Yeah.
former colleague. And it's
Okay.
probably almost a very similar scenario or whatever. They were working in the governmental environment or whatever, and they've got a very accomplished resume and so forth, but they've just never worked under a CPA
Sure.
supervisor or whatever. So I mean, this isn't Matthew's case isn't the only one out there or whatever. It's not a one-off. I think this is kind of a common issue or whatever. Just food for thought.
Pete, I had the same. I was approached by one of my partners in my firm in regards to an individual same situation this past summer as well. So yeah.
It's more of it than we thought of, right? Since we haven't seen this request, or I haven't seen this request in the last few years, so.
Sure.
I wonder if, I mean, Stacy touched on it, if the definition of direct supervision is something that NASBA or, other states are thinking about, like a board member. If you were in a company that's a CPA, you don't work directly for them, but you're under their general supervision. I wonder, if there's,
Yeah.
or the audit partner on your audit firm, those types of things maybe should be considered. Consistent with
Yeah.
our goal of trying to have more CPAs
Yeah.
out there.
And maybe it's the definition of, is supervision the right word? Because really the auditor won't be supervising the preparer of the financials, but certainly is in a position to assess the competency capabilities
Yeah.
of that person.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, especially if he's going through SEC audits.
Hmm.
I mean, he's got to be pretty qualified to
Yeah.
get through all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's clearly has more experience than many CPAs out there working in public accounting firms. So
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, we will again be doing some more research, taking this up again if we see that there's another path to revisiting, that rule around the experience requirement.
very good.
All right, well, moving on. Next item of new business is a CPE extension request. Michael Fino, and it looks like it's Michael's second request. Had we granted the first request? I think that was for August 31st, and now this is
Yep.
is
Yeah,
that right?
so in the July meeting, you granted an extension through August 31st. And then they submitted another request on October 29th, and looks like there's some additional medical related issues that
On this one, did we get any support for the medical related issues? I think that was the incremental basis for the extension. I think it was his father maybe had issues, and he also had
right,
some.
yeah, so no other information was provided, just the same documentation that was provided in the July review was also submitted for this October request. I did send them the meeting information so they could hopefully join to provide more information if they needed to, but I don't believe they are on. So what we have is what we have.
I think we typically look for additional supporting evidence around medical issues rather than just assertions, right, within the request itself. Okay, I'd like to see if anyone would like to make a motion on Michael's extension request.
Before we rule, do we want to go back and ask for additional support before just? 'Cause this looks like a really bad situation.
Yeah. Had Rachel, had we asked him for this yet? And if not,
I did
let's-
reach out, but I didn't get a response.
So we can defer it until he provides the information and then rule in the next meeting.
Yep.
That's not alternative we've done before.
Yeah, I think just to give him a chance to submit something in addition.
Okay. Do we need a motion for deferral or just table it?
No, you don't need a motion to table.
Okay. Let's defer this until our January meeting then. Thank you. Okay.
May I ask,
Next
can we
item
just-
is, yeah.
Tim, we'd approve it pending documentation, or I don't know. I mean, that's all we're looking for. I think
We could do that,
everybody on the
assuming
board seems to be.
if it's straightforward and Rachel and, if the staff can assess the documentation, then I think we could do that as well. Does anyone want to make a motion that around that, Pete?
Sure, I'll make the motion that we approve the extension request pending documentation related to the extenuating circumstances in his second request.
Okay. We've got a motion on the
Second
table.
it.
All right.
second.
Thank you, Stacy. Any further discussion? If none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? Okay. Motion is passed as proposed. Our next request is a CPA exam extension request by Michelle Curtis. And she's indicated this is for good cause. And I believe she passed the final part 19 days after the technical expiration of some of the parts. Was that the background on this one? I think she had like a 74 when she took it at the end of June and then subsequently passed.
Maybe on mute. I don't know.
Was someone speaking?
Hi, sorry, not sure if I'm allowed to speak, but I am here.
Oh, there you are. Hi, Michelle.
Hi. Yes,
Yeah.
I did basically describe it. So I had 2 exams expiring June 30th. I had received a 74 when I took FAR on June 30th, and then I retook it 5 days after school release and passed. So I was hoping, I could have these 2 credits extended so that I can be done. So I've been, yeah. That is, yeah, basically, I did take it twice before they expired. Unfortunately, didn't pass, so then passed right after. Yeah.
Oh.
Hey,
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
great. Thank you, Stacy. Bud's the second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any against? Okay.
Congrats,
Michelle,
Michelle.
your motion is passed.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Very good.
Okay.
Just stick with it.
All right. I think that's it for the requests. And now we have 2 settlement agreements that have been shared. Kat, are you going to walk us through those 2?
Yes, of course. So
Okay,
the first
thank you.
one is case 2025-24. The CPA is Timothy Gaydosh. Mr. Gaydosh is the sole owner of a firm called Main Street Tax Services, LLC, located in Watertown, Connecticut. He's been a CPA since at least 2006. In February of 2024, he was hired by Stacy Nardozzi to prepare and file 2023 tax returns for her late father, who passed away in May 2023. She is the executor of her father's estate. So Mr. Gaydosh made 2 errors on the tax returns. First, he listed the taxpayer as Frank Nardozzi in care of Nancy Nardozzi, his late wife, instead of the estate of, even though Nancy had, had predeceased him. And second, he used the wrong address. These are unexplainable error because he has done taxes for Mr. Nardozzi for years before he passed away. And so he knew, or she have known, that Mr. Nardozzi was a widower and had not lived at that address for a couple of years. It was also unexplained in that, the complainant, Miss Stacy, kept asking him, "Are you sure you want to use Nancy Nardozzi's name on the tax return?" And he said, "Yeah, don't worry about it. They will know to send it to the estate of." So due to these errors, both the federal and tax refund checks were sent to the wrong address, and then they were returned to sender. She was able to get the state refund corrected promptly, but the federal refund check took more than a year to be reissued. So when she received the reissued refund check in May of this year, it had to be voided and sent back because it was made out to the wrong name. So due to his errors, more than 1.5 years later, as of last week, she still has not received the federal refund. And because of that, she's been unable to close out his estate. And our investigations show that he also didn't, he misled her into, he told her that he took care of, correcting the errors with the IRS when he didn't do anything, until she called him months later and said, "How come the IRS doesn't have my forms?" And that's when he took care of it. He sent in the corrected forms. And also he missed a deadline in our investigations. He didn't respond to us at the initial deadline. So we allege that he violated multiple violations. So we entered into a settlement agreement, and he is censored. And he agreed to reimburse the complainant $850 for fees and interest. He agreed to continue to make efforts to assist her to get her refunds back by calling or contacting the IRS at least once every 3 weeks. He says he has contacts at the IRS. And then he agreed to complete 6 extra CPE credits, 3 in taxes and 3 in ethics. And he agreed to pay $2,500 in penalties. And so we recommend that for the board's approval.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Kat. Anyone want to make a motion after hearing Kat's summary and reviewing the settlement agreement for Mr.
Oh,
Gadosh's settlement?
I'll make a motion to accept the agreement.
Okay, thank you, John. Any second?
This is Pete. I'll second it.
All right. Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? Okay, hearing none. That settlement agreement is approved. And I guess one other, Kat, O'Connell, Pace and Co.
Yes, case 2025-39. This CPA firm is located on the Silas Dean Highway in Wethersfield. It's owned by 3 CPAs and it has been doing business since 1993. This firm performs audits, reviews, and compilations in addition to tax preparation and filing and other accounting and bookkeeping services. The firm's last 2 peer reviews were completed in 2019 and 2022, both with the rating of pass. And the next peer review after that was due in 2025. So for that peer review, the firm was required to submit review documents to the peer review program on September 30th, 2024. However, the firm failed to meet this deadline, and the program extended the firm's deadline 3 times after that, with the last being on December 31st, 2024. Finally, in July 31st of this year, the program terminated the firm's enrollment for non-cooperation. So when the peer review program terminates a firm's enrollment, we get notified. So we got the notification, we immediately contacted the firm to ask about it. And the firm was very responsive. The partner, called me back right away. The firm explained that they experienced a period of hardship due to the loss of a senior accountant, semi-retirement of a partner, difficulty in hiring replacement and a partner's family illness. And so they did promptly re-enroll in the program 2 weeks later. And so they were given a due date of October 31st, 2025 to submit review documents. And the firm has met this deadline, and I believe that the peer review will be completed sometimes in early 2026. So it ended up they'll be like about 1 year late on their peer review schedule. So with that, we allege that they violated the statute that requires a firm to undergo peer review every 3 years. So they agreed to a settlement agreement. The firm is censored, and the firm agreed to pay $500 in penalties.
Okay. All right, thank you, Kat. Any questions or comments of Kat? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the settlement agreement that was included within our materials on this one.
I'll make a motion to approve.
All right, thank you, Pete.
And I'll
Danny,
second.
rather Danny.
I'll
And
second.
John was a
Sounds
second.
pretty straightforward.
Good. Thank you. All right, any further discussion? If not, all those in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
Any against? Okay, hearing none. Settlement agreement is approved. Thank you, Kat.
Thank you.
All right. So I think that's it for new business, other than I thought I'd just take a few minutes to share some like kind of quick recap and highlights of the NASBA annual meeting that was held in Chicago last week. First session started out on first thing on Monday morning, and the meeting ran through Wednesday around noon. A lot going on, a lot of various topics that they cover in that time frame. Obviously, the business part of the meeting, occurs where they consider the nominations for new board members, et cetera, and that sort. So there are 3 new board members that were elected. And then also Nikki Nealon from Nevada assumed the chair role for this upcoming year from Maria Caldwell. So that's pretty typical. This time of year, they kind of pass the torch on the chair role. And so Nikki is taking that on. She's been a board member for a while, done a regional director role. She'll do a great job, chairing, I think, the NASBA committee. Just a few topics that I think would be of most interest to the board that were presented on and also discussed in our regional meetings. So first is CPE requirements, and thinking about it from a kind of a fresh lens, and also thinking about what's really required from a public protection perspective. So, the requirement for effectively 40 credit hours annually, and some states do it differently. It might be 80 every 2 years or 120 every 3 years. Ours is 40 a year. That has been in place for quite a long time. No one's really sure exactly how the 40 hours was concluded upon. I think someone mentioned there was a study by New York State back in the late 80s around this, where they surveyed licensees over some period of time and landed on 40 hours. And some of the states, I think there's 5 right now, California, North Carolina, Virginia, Ohio, and Kentucky, apparently are starting to have discussions around the requirement of 40 credit hours of CPE and whether that's still appropriate, and some might argue it's too much. Like, why do we have 40 hours when some professions require less, as an example, architects or engineers? Some might argue it's not enough because of the complexities of what's going on today versus maybe 30, 40 years ago. So what NASBA's looking to do so that this doesn't go down a path, the way the pathways discussion went, where states on their own were making decisions around what might be appropriate. So NASBA and the AICPA is agreed to form a task force to kind of do some work around this on behalf of the states and walk alongside the states as they consider what changes might be warranted. So it's kind of just FYI, more to come on this. I know as a state, no one's brought this up as something that we need to think about right now. But I think as other states do start to talk about it, and this task force goes through it, we'll want to stay informed because, there could be impacts on mobility, per se, should one state decide to change their CPE requirements and it doesn't meet the requirements of our state, would we, as a regulator, say that those individuals and licensees in the other state shouldn't be able to practice here because they're only taking 8 hours of CPE where we require 40? So stay tuned on that. Again, NASPA is trying to ensure that there's some consistency among the states, and in concert with that we all get to the right answer if in fact the answer changes at all. So I thought that was pretty interesting. They spent some time, and you may recall that NASBA had engaged an independent consultant to perform a diagnostic review. It's effectively a self-reflection because they had the changeover from the longstanding Ken Bishop, who was the CEO, to Dan Dustin last year. And Dan elected to very boldly, engage this consultant to go out and interview all stakeholders, state board members, state society members, people working at NASBA, et cetera, to find out what do they think about NASBA in terms of its mission, what's it doing well, what's it not doing well, what should they keep doing, what should they stop doing, and in summary, they ended up interviewing 106 individuals, again, all across the board, EDs, state board chairs. John, I think you were one of the participants, right? I know you were invited. I don't know if you had a chance to get the interview. I know I was interviewed as an ASBA board member.
Oh, I would have been glad to, but I was not interviewed.
Okay. Well, they had a lot of key input. And look, there was a lot of different views and opinions around a number of items, ranging from brand identity to how they communicate, how do they engage with the state boards. And I think a lot of it was, at least a lot of the, let's say, negative commentary was really coming out of what happened with the pathways discussion. How NASBA was going down a path of requiring like competency sign-offs that a lot of states thought were a little bit overcooked for what you needed. And a lot of states were just in favor of, why can't we just go back to 2 years of experience, bachelor's degree? And I think eventually that's where things ended up. But there were some concerns that, is NASBA really listening? And so anyway, I think the long and short of it is, there were a lot of good things and some things that need improvement. And so the next steps on this one is, NASBA has a strategic planning committee, and I was asked to be on that committee. So it's members from all regions, board members, so a lot of key constituents that will be on the committee as NASBA undertakes its process of developing its strategic plan. And so all of these inputs from these interviews, with the assistance of the independent consultant as part of the process, will form the basis for the strategic plan that will be put in place effectively this time next year. So more to come again on this. I think as the strategic planning committee works through each of these, let's say there's very key areas that they're focused on. The plan is to feed those back to the state boards and see if they're landing in the right place, that they really heard what the issues were and everyone feels good go forward, because, NASBA's role is to represent the state boards. And so they want to make sure they're going back to the state boards and getting affirmation that they're heading the right direction. There was a legislative update by John Johnson, and it really focused on the continuing risks around deregulation potential to the profession. You may recall late last year, Florida had someone tried to put forth a bill that would have effectively eliminated the requirement for any CPE for CPAs and some other professions, as well as eliminating the entire State Board of Accountancy. So that was able to be quashed at the very last minute, even though they tried to get it through. But there's rumors that that bill may rear its head again in January. And so thinking ahead of that and maybe potential deregulation risks to our profession within other states, NASBA, put together a deregulation toolkit and resources to help state boards if you're facing similar issues that do come up. And again, the issue there becomes, if there's no State Board of Accountancy in a given state and there's no CPE requirements, let's say it's in Florida and it gets passed, what does that mean for Florida licensees come into practice in Connecticut and other states, and how would other states view that issue? So to try to avert that, again, NASBA is trying to make sure they're giving the state boards resources to address it, and a lot of it is just being more proactive with legislators to make sure they understand the importance of what the boards do and why CPE is an important part of how we regulate licensees and the profession. There was a session on alternative practice structures, which has been a topic for a while. And there was the work of a task force that was formed by NASBA back in May. So many state boards have been asking for help from NASBA on this issue, just to understand the potential risks to public protection and what questions they should be asking around these alternative practice structures and how they might impact the regulation within their states. The bigger issues around this has to do with, the use of title by professionals and firms, within the state, firm registrations, where there is an attest and a non-attest business within the structure. And then ultimately, how these firms market themselves on their websites and all. Is there really a good enough understanding by the public around who they're engaging, who's doing what work? Is it a CPA firm? Is it not a CPA firm? And so because of that, the task force has released a white paper that summarizes what they see as the 3 core areas of consideration, and it's specific to independence and the professional standards, disclosure and public understanding of the structures, and then lastly, regulatory oversight and enforcement. They're asking for state boards to respond to this white paper. There's some questions within with a deadline of January 31st. So I think as a board, we just need to decide whether we have interest in responding. NASBA would really like as much input as possible. So maybe as a next step, what I propose is we can get the white paper shared. It's not a 100-page read. It's a fairly short white paper around these issues. And I'd propose maybe at the January meeting, we leave a little time just to discuss our collective thoughts around it, which would then leave time for us to respond, if we deemed it appropriate for a board to do. Does that sound like a good plan for everyone? I think it might be. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a pretty key issue. A lot of states are are dealing with the same questions and issues. And I think if we have a point of view, it'd be important to share that with NASBA. And then lastly, you know, as the regional director, which is my last year, so I've served 2 one-year terms as Northeast Regional Director. I'm just starting my third 3-year term, and then I'm timed out in that role. I could always run for an at-large role on the board, but this time next year, or even before this time next year, NASBA will be looking for someone else to step up to take the Northeast Regional Director role. So if you do have interest, the requirements are that you will have had to attend an annual or regional meeting. You will have had to have served on a committee at some point. I think those are really and then also you have to still be on your state board, are the requirements in order to run for that. So if anyone has interest or has future interest, I highly recommend doing it. It's been a great experience for me. But in that role, I hosted a breakout meeting with the Northeast region, and attendance wasn't bad. I mean, Northeast has always been a tough region to get a lot of participation, and part of it is due to the fact that a lot of our states are umbrella agencies with no budget, similar to what we have. But I think because of the scholarships, it helped getting some people to attend this last meeting. So Vermont, as an example, for the first time took advantage of sending 2 people using their scholarships. New Hampshire also had 2 people and their ED, and New York had 3 people attend. And again, at this, there's just a number of items that we talk about: impressions of the NASBA diagnostic, CPE requirements within the state, and then ultimately the status of legislation in particularly around pathways in their states, because some, unlike Connecticut, where we've already passed it, like in New York, I believe it's sitting on the governor's desk, and so states are trying to move these things forward, but they're not all quite there yet. So it's just getting an update on that front. So the next time NASBA plans to get together, there's a regional meeting that they have every year in June. Be great to get more states involved and more Connecticut involvement if you guys see fit to go. It'll be in sunny Puerto Rico in the first week of June. So map out your schedules. You got plenty of time to plan, and if you're interested in attending and joining me at that meeting, it'd be great to have an additional Connecticut representative join us. And that's all I had in terms of the annual meeting. Any questions or comments around these things? Again, a lot of it's just making sure we're staying informed what's happening at the national level with other states, and we're ready to address issues as they come up, and consider how things might impact Connecticut. And ultimately, that's important because the mobility of our Connecticut licensees elsewhere is also important for our individuals. So,
two quick questions.
Yeah.
What's driving this, or who is driving this bill to get rid of the State Board of Accountancy, and for what purpose?
I think, well, the purpose is in the spirit of deregulation efforts, um, and
Well, I'd like to be
eliminating
a
red
plumber.
tape. Someone
make
might
better
view
money.
as red tape. Let me see if I have I thought I had notes on which legislator down there is.
Well, I wouldn't know anything of the legislator anyway, but just curious whether they had any background that would give them any knowledge.
Yeah, there's and I can't remember the name of the organization, but there is an organization that's kind of more formally doing work in the background.
Oh,
Maybe not just in the CPA profession, but other professions around, you know, any place where there's regulation. How do we eliminate some of that they, in their view, is unnecessary? And I
yeah,
think the issue
there's a
becomes they're just
national
not.
organization. I can't remember the
Yeah,
name.
some of them are just
Uh,
not educated on what we, what our role is as a state board of accountancy. The one thing they also did share, they have a program. They're putting in a program. It's called the NASBA Key Person Contact Program through their Legislative Support Committee, which is meant to the extent anyone, like on our state board as an example, to the extent we have any relationships with any government official or administrator to educate them on the CPA profession and why it's important. They want to hear from people that have those relationships to be able to then maybe more proactively reach out to those legislators to make sure they're aware of what we do and why we do it and why it's important. So if someone else comes in from another angle that says we don't need a board of accountancy anymore, they're already educated on it and they're just not accepting the word of someone that really doesn't know what we do.
Okay. And one other just quick, more a comment than a question. Anything new that comes over the transom on any studies going on the how to gauge CPE, I'd just be interested in it. I mean, just hours, I think we've all seen the abuse of where you get CPE hours, but you're really not doing anything. But the laws of physics don't change. The laws of accounting and auditing and tax constantly change. And somebody's going to serve the public. They've got to keep up with the change.
Yeah. Yeah. In the conversations we had in the regional breakout, it was, it may not just be the numbers, right? But is there a way to put a collar around quality of the CPE that you're getting? And maybe
Exactly. That would be
maybe it's
difficult,
a
but
balance
exactly.
between numbers and quality that, it becomes more defined where it's something that truly is necessary for someone to maintain their competencies around the key issues that CPAs need to be aware of. And it's not a program that is interesting, like, it's informative, but it's not necessarily relevant to me practicing as a CPA. So I don't think, so the number is not, or not the number, the focus, I think, of the discussions will not just be on quantity, but also on quality. And again, I'm not sure how they're planning to approach it yet. They're just forming this task force. But as that develops and more comes out that I become aware of at NASBA, I'll certainly add that to our agenda to chat about. Okay, that's it on the annual meeting, and then just reminders for 2026 meeting schedule that's been shared. Hopefully, those work within your calendars. I'm sure the invites will go out on those, but just an FYI to keep those dates and times open. It's always 10 a.m. on those dates.
Okay.
Okay. Any comments or concerns of any person present today that we've not addressed?
Jim, one thing, the license renewals just went out, and earlier in the year, we had asked both the department and the society to remind sole practitioners that they need both an individual license and a firm license. I didn't really see any reminders, and I could have missed it, but I don't know if there's anything that can be done about that.
Yes, I worked on a email blast, to be sent out, and it's still in the internal approval process.
Okay,
So,
great,
yeah,
good. I'm just trying to avoid the 25 cases we have that are great. Thanks, Kat.
That's a good point. Thank you, Pete. Okay.
And Tim, I have to comment about the spider over your head in the screenshot.
I was going to wait to make sure it wasn't in the
Yeah,
minutes.
you didn't know if I was just growing more hair. Is
Yeah.
that? Yeah, my wife's she was traveling this week, so she's not around to get the Halloween stuff down. I mean, it's all over my house. Believe me, if I showed you. So that's
Embrace
just one.
the
Thank you.
holiday. That's good.
Thank you for noticing that. Okay, I think that covers everything that we had for today's meeting. So I'd welcome a motion to adjourn a meeting if someone were to propose that.
Also move.
Mr. John Schuyler. Second?
Pete, I'll second.
Pete, second. And in the words of John, there's no discussion permitted on on adjournment. So all those in favor, aye.
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 Nay. Good.
Okay.
All right. I think that's all we have for today. Thanks for great discussion, and I guess we'll everyone enjoy your holidays. I mean, it's going to be here before you know it, and then we'll see you in early January.
Okay.
Very good.
Sounds good.
All right.
Thank everybody.
Good meeting.
Thank you all.
Good meeting.
Thanks.
See everybody.
Meeting adjourned. Bye-bye.